All right, today's going to be our last day of combinations. And today we're going to be talking about different combinations to where you could have a bunch of different arrangements from one given situation. Okay, so we're going to look at several examples that talk about that. Okay, so example number one, just going to dive right into it. Okay, you have 8 friends that go to the movies. If they all sit in the same row, how many different ways can they arrange themselves? Okay, so we want to figure out if your friends have 8 different seats to sit in. We'll call these the seats. Okay, so there's your 8 different seats. We want to figure out how many different possible ways that they can sit. Okay, so if you have the first person sit, well, you have 8 options of where they could sit. So let's say you have Johnny. He has 8 choices of where he could sit. So the first seat, you have 8 different options. Let's say you have the second person. Now, Johnny's already sat down, so there's only 7 options left. And each successive person, there's just one less seat. For them to choose. Okay, so that's how it would look like. Now, if you wanted to figure out how many options there are, you would just have to multiply all those options together. So 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And if you do that, you would have 40,320 options. And so if you had 8 friends go to the movies, you have that many options of different ways. You'd have that many options of ways that you can sit. So you could go to a whole lot of movies and have combinations for each of them, 40,320 times. Pretty crazy. Okay, so second example. Very similar problem. Okay, it says a middle school is holding a talent show. There are 6 acts in the show. In how many ways can the order of acts be arranged? Okay, so let's say we had our 6 different acts. Who knows what they are? Okay, the first person, let's say we have a singer, a guy singer. Okay, we have a singer, we have a juggler, we have a person with puppets, we have a guitar player, a dancer, and maybe another singer. So you have 6 different people. Now, if you just choose one of those from random, you have 6 different acts to choose from. Well, let's say a singer went first. Well, you have 5 other choices after that. And so on and so on and so on until you're at the very end and you only have 1 act remaining. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and multiply those together. Okay, and if we multiply all those together, we're going to get 720 acts. Now, it's not so hard to multiply 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 together, but let's say you had a huge talent show and you had 50 acts. Well, that would be really annoying to type in 50 times 49 times 48 all the way down to times 1. Okay, there is a way that you can do that more quickly. And so on your calculator, if you go to your probability button, it's at the top by the second button, PRB. If you click that, there's an NPR option, an NCR option, and a exclamation point. Okay, so let's say we had that 50x. You could type 50 PRB and then go over twice to your exclamation point, type that, push enter and enter again, and that would give you all the different options of ways that the acts could be arranged. So if there's bigger numbers, that's how you can do it on your calculator. Example number 3. It says license plates consist of 6 characters. 2 letters are followed by a number, a letter, a number, and a letter. Okay, so we know, you know that you have to have a letter, a number, a letter, a number, and a letter. And we have to figure out how many different combinations that you can use on your license plate. We assume that All numbers and letters can be repeated. Okay. So letters, how many letters are in the alphabet? Well, of course, we know that there are 26. And since we can repeat letters, we know that all of your letter options have to be 26. Okay. Numbers, we have to have two different numbers, and we know that there are 10 options. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 different ones. So each of your numbers, we have 10 options. And if you go ahead and multiply 26 times 26 times 10 times 26 times 10 times 26, you come up with 45,697,600 options. Okay, so those would be all your combinations for license plate. Okay, so make sure you have this written down and move on to the next page. Got a quick joke for you. What do you call a guy? No arms and no legs under the car. Think about it. Think about it. Jack. Hey, hopefully you enjoyed that. Okay, so we got 3 more problems, and then we'll be done. Okay, so you try number 1. It just says, how many different ways can 5 people line up for a picture? So this is very similar to the one with the movie theater. And you have 5 people. First person has 5 choices of where they could stand. The second person has 4, and so on and so on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and multiply those together. Doink, 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 doink. And 5 probability exclamation point gives us 120 options of ways that they could line up for the picture. Okay, so fairly straightforward problem. Okay, the next one's a tiny bit more difficult. It says a science fair awards prizes to the first, second, and third place winners. There are 48 people entered in the science fair, and we want to know how many ways can the winners be selected. Okay, so there's 3 options, either first, second, or third for the winners. Okay, since there are 48 people to start with, there are 48 people who could possibly get first. Okay. Once one of those is taken away, for second place, you then have 47 options. And after first and second are taken away, that's 2 less, so you have 46 options for third place. Okay, we're then going to go ahead and multiply all those together. And 48 times 47 times 46 would give you 103,776. Okay, last question. Before we do our last problem, got one more joke for you. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs? Check that. Let's try again. Who is the guy who lost his arms and legs in a meat grinder? Think about it. Think about it. Chuck. All right. Last problem. You have 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, and 3 pairs of shoes. How many outcomes are there? And we talked about this the other day. If you have 3 shirts, you have 2 jeans, you have 3 shoes, you can just multiply all those numbers together, and that will give you your final outcome. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 3 would give you 18 different possible outfits that you could wear. Okay? Have a good one.